Hey everyone, welcome back to SpottedBayProductions. I'm Jordan and nobody likes long intros, so let's just get into it. Today I went to my first equine trail sports competition. It was hosted at a local university that has an equine program, so it was really nice. It was like 10 minutes away from my barn. Even though it was torrential downpouring all day, luckily the event was inside and I just wanted to tell you about it. I had a hard time finding a lot of videos of it or people talking about it on YouTube, and so I thought I would give my opinion, the good, the bad, my experience, and then I have some footage too. My fiance took the footage and he has a lot of great attributes, but videography is not one of them. So I'm going to kind of explain to you how it all worked, and then we'll go through the footage together. So I found out about the event on Facebook events. It came up as something I might be interested in, and so I ended up registering the same week of the event, and all together with the day registration fee, so you could either choose to become a member of Equine Trail Sports, which is the overseeing organization, or you could just have essentially a day pass. Since it's almost the end of the year and there's not many of these near me, I just paid for the day pass, which I think was $10, and I paid to do the in-hand and the riding obstacle course. There was no trail option available at this event, only arena options. Sometimes at the Equine Trail Sports shows or events, I'm not sure what they call them, there is this basically trail ride from what I understand, and every so often throughout the trail ride there's an obstacle that you have to complete, and there's a judge that kind of judges you throughout the ride at each obstacle. This one was only in hand and mounted in an arena. It was nice to have that because it was pouring down rain, but it definitely had its own drawbacks, which I'll get to in a little bit. So the way that these competitions work is you have a list that you're given of obstacles that you have to complete, and you complete them in order, and they were basically in a loop around the arena. There were 8 to 9 obstacles if I remember correctly, and I'll go through all of the ones that we had when we go through the videos, but essentially there's 3 levels that you can choose from. So the first level is level 1, and that's novice, and then 2 is intermediate, and 3 is advanced. One thing that I really like is that you don't have to choose one level for the entire course. You can choose by obstacle. If you know that your horse is really good at the bridge, maybe you choose a level 3 for that, and if they're not so good at maybe dragging something, then maybe you choose a level 1 for that. The way that they determine your class, because they do score and place by class, is they take an average, I believe, of the level 1, 2s, and 3s that you pick, and whatever your average is, that's the category that they place you in for placing and scoring. There's also a weight, I believe, to the level that you choose. I don't completely understand the scoring, so you'd have to check the website for that, and my scores aren't posted yet from today, so if I do get my scores, I can go over them in a separate video. I chose to do level 1 for everything, even though there were some obstacles that I thought maybe Monkey could do a level 2 or 3. I just wanted to not push myself or Monkey and just do the easiest option for each of them. And I also didn't understand the scoring well enough, and I didn't want to accidentally put myself in the intermediate category for scoring, because we definitely don't belong in the intermediate. We're very new at this, so I wanted to be sure that we were going to be scored and placed as novice. In the morning, everybody gets there and registers, and then they'll do a judge's briefing on the pattern, and then after the judge's briefing is over, they have a rider briefing. So they give you a sheet that has a printout of all of your obstacles in order, and they have what the level 1, 2, and 3 is. You can walk through the course with the judges, and there was a woman who was kind of running the event who walked through it with us as well. And you can ask any questions on the obstacle or on your sheet. And I was also like making notes on my sheet if there was something that maybe I didn't understand the wording on, and so I just added some notes after I asked the question. I think the rider briefing can be useful, but for me personally, it almost made me more confused because I take things very literally. So if on the sheet it says walk over the pole, I'm just going to walk over the pole. It would never dawn on me to ask any other questions than that. I would just do what the sheet says, but I'm not sure if maybe people were more experienced at this than I am, and so they had more questions to ask. But so the rider briefing almost confused me more than it helped me, but it was nice to get out in the arena and see all the obstacles before I was doing them as part of the competition. So the in-hand portion was first, which was great. I got to get Monkey kind of through all of the obstacles. There were some obstacle differences between the in-hand and the riding, but the general setup of the arena didn't change very much. One thing that I liked was when you get to your obstacle, there's a different judge for each obstacle. All of the judges were super friendly. They'll greet you and ask you your number and your name. Then once they find you on their sheet, they'll ask you what level you want to do, or if you know what level you want to do. And sometimes when I got up to the obstacle, I knew what level I wanted to do, and it was generally always 1, but I still appreciate that they ask. And you can keep the sheet with you that they give you that tells you all of the obstacles and all of the levels. And I think maybe if this were out on a trail, that would be really useful. But the obstacles were really close together in the arena, so it felt awkward to like stop between obstacles and look at my paper. Before you start, when you're at your start cone for that obstacle, the judge will also ask you if you have any questions or if you want them to read you the directions for that obstacle. Even though I thought that I knew in my head the directions for each obstacle, I still usually had them read them to me just so I knew for sure, because sometimes there were specifics, like it would say, side pass, straddling the pole, side pass left, and then stand for 3 seconds. So I just wanted to make sure that I had all of those pieces in my head before I started, and so that I could kind of tick all of the boxes. So I'll start putting video in now, so I'm going to scooch. So the first one that I'm going to go over is the in-hand portion. So I'm going to pull my video up so I can watch it along with you guys. These videos are a little bit split up because there was some waiting time. One thing that I forgot to say is that you can have multiple people on the course at once, and so someone might be a few obstacles ahead of you, and it's usually a nice flow, but if the person in front of you gets stuck on an obstacle and takes a little bit longer, it's really easy to catch up to them, and so sometimes you can kind of get stuck waiting, and I think that kind of screwed me over a little bit, and some of the other horses that I saw go, especially if you have an antsy horse. If you're going and then you have to stop in the middle of the obstacle course and wait for the horse in front of you, it winds some of the horses up, and it's good for their brain, don't get me wrong, but it kind of screws you up for your next obstacles when your horse just had to stand and wait, sometimes for quite a while the person in front of you works through the pattern. We had some technical difficulties, but I think we're good now. So let's watch, and I'll talk you through what's going on. Okay, so this is going into obstacle 1. Level 1 for this was to walk your horse from the start cone to the mounting block, and you had to stop and flex your horse towards you without them moving, and you had to stand by their shoulder, and then you had to just walk to the end. And these things seem so simple, like they seem like they would be cake, and then you get in there and your horse is like, I don't know how to do that, and we do this at home all the time. He was a little bit dancy, he just wanted to be with the other horses. But I knew if I pulled him too hard that he would take a step, and he did, which is okay, but he was a little bit confused. The other thing that threw us both off is that we usually use his showmanship halter at home, but that was not allowed at this show, so I just had to switch him into a rope halter. This next obstacle, you can hear how nice the judge is. You can see how dirty Monkey is. He rolled in his stall overnight, and it was freezing, so I couldn't do anything about it in the morning, and they don't judge on how clean your horse is anyway, so it's fine. So here I am looking at my instructions. Monkey's dancing a little bit. But they don't start judging you until they're ready, and then you go past the cone. So this one we just had to walk onto the bridge and then back off for level 1. And of course, Monkey does not care about the bridge. We probably got docked some points because we weren't right in the middle, but that's fine. And then this next obstacle is a zigzag, and for level 1 you only had to walk straight in the first leg and then back out. And I was not so much worried about the through and the back. like, that's not the reason I chose level 1. The reason I chose level 1 is because I 100% knew that Monkey was going to try to grab one of those hay bales or the scarecrows, and I was like, we're just going to stick with level 1 and be away from the hay as much as possible. Fast forward this a little bit. The same judge was doing the bridge and the maze, so I had to wait for him to finish scoring me on the bridge before I could go do the maze. Monkey was really looky out the door, but he backed up really nice for me. So, but again, like, he's not used to the rope halter, he's used to his showmanship halter, so I need to work with him more in his rope halter at home so we can do these, but you're not allowed to use a shank, even when I use the shank on his showmanship halter, I clip it so that it doesn't actually move. But it was just a different setup for both of us. So this next obstacle was the wagon wheel, and you had to, in my level for level 1, you had to go in the middle and lunge your horse at the walk over 4 of the poles and then bring them back towards you, which sounds really easy, but there's not a lot of room to like get them situated. And then like you have to like stop them, and they weren't clear if you were supposed to stop when you were over the 4th pole or like when you were supposed to stop. It just said stop halfway, so I kind of like was a little bit confused about that. Fast forward this a little bit. So there I walked into the middle, which is what the instructions were, but then I kind of backed him up to send him over the pole, and I got a little bit caught up with my lead rope. I was glad I decided to use this lead though. This is a really long lead, I don't know how long it is, but a lot of people got into trouble with this obstacle because they had a regular length lead rope. For some reason Monkey just like dipped out right here. I don't know what he saw, so I just corrected him. And then here, like, I didn't whip his head as hard as it looks, but as soon as he felt me like tug on it, he like whipped his head around. So it looked like I yanked on him, but I really didn't, I promise. So that one didn't go great, and he lunges well. I think he was just confused, and I was not being super clear either because my lunge line was sort of a mess. And here he's starting to get a little bit dancy, and so I'm just trying to keep him busy. And I was just waiting on the judge. Sometimes I think if you just did the whole thing all at once, it would be better. Like, it's nice to be able to ask the judge questions and whatever, but the standing between obstacles, Monkey starts to get a little bit dancy. And she just let me know that that little cone by my feet was the start cone, and then if I passed it, that judging was start, so I just backed up. And all the judges were super kind. Like, sometimes it shows judges are kind of rude, but all these judges were really, really, really nice. So this one, for level 1, you just had to open the gate, push it open, and then walk through. You didn't have to close it or anything. And I was confused because it said to keep your hand on the gate all the way through, and so I ended up on the other side of him. And like at home, I send them through the gates, but it just wasn't really set up for that. So then this obstacle with the ball through the chute is 3 sides. This obstacle is a ball, and there's 3 sides to the chute. For level 1, you only had to push the ball through one side of the chute. And like, I thought Monkey was gonna push it with his nose and that it was gonna be fine. And then he was like, no, I don't really care. And I've never tried to get him to kick a ball before. I don't even have a ball. But this got kind of funny because Monkey's next solution was to just try to kill the ball. And I was like, and then he finally just like kicked it all the way to the end, and I was like, great, we're done. So not tragic, but something that I've never tried with him before, and he was like, okay, whatever. So at this point, he saw like all of his new friends at the end of the arena. And I was a little bit confused about the instructions for this obstacle. It was a V, but for level 1, it was like something like side pass over 1/2 of the V. And so I was like, where do I start? Does it matter which side? Like, I was a little bit confused. So, but we ended up getting it down. And I've practiced side passing on the ground before with him at home, but I think he was just kind of distracted by, like I said, all of his new friends. So like normally I can get him to side pass just by holding my hand up, but he was not really paying attention to me, so I ended up having to poke his belly to get him to move over. And I know the judges, one of the things the judges said was that they were looking for like a true crossover, and that is something that Monkey is not very good at. He's a shuffler, so that was definitely something for me to work on. And then this was, I thought, going to be the easiest part, and was not. It was exactly the opposite. Monkey did not enjoy the curtain. So I was waiting for the judge to be ready for me, but all I had to do was just walk through it, and well, you'll see what happens. I was like, oh, cake, and Monkey was like, no, we will not be doing that. And so I tried to just kind of like give him a nudge, and then I realized he couldn't see me, and so I went back on the other side of the curtain, and like he would stick his nose through, but he didn't want to put his head through it. And so I just kind of showed him, you know, that he could get through it and there was nothing on the other side, and then he followed me through. And then he whacked his head. I don't know if he's whacked his head on my helmet or if he hit like one of the curtains and it scared him, but so yeah, that was that. And then that was it. So that's the whole thing. Each of the judges scores you as you go through, and pretty straightforward. So now I'll go through the riding portion. All right, so this is the riding portion, and just like the in-hand portion, there's 3 levels for each obstacle and a judge at each obstacle. So this first obstacle for level 1, all of them you had to start dismounted, and you had to walk to the mounting block, check your girth and your headstall on both sides, and then mount and stand still for 3 seconds. And Monkey is usually a little dancy at the mounting block at home, which is definitely something I need to work on, so I fully expected that. He actually just took a step, and I kind of expected him to dance more, but I just asked him to stand still once I got on, and then we walked off.
You called it, right, Rob?
And then I got stuck here for quite a while, so my fiance actually stopped recording, so I'm gonna skip ahead. Okay, so here the judge came down to ask me my name and number and if I had any questions, and the next obstacle is a log drag, and I was just making sure that I knew which side I needed to be on and where I was going. So Monkey's looking at Brandon like, where's my treats, dude?
Yes, and then drop it.
Okay.
So the judge is just going back down to his position to get reset, and then I was allowed to start. So you just had to grab the rope off of the pole and drag the log down past one of the cones. And then for level 1, you just dropped the rope on the ground. The higher levels, you had to drag around the cone, and then 1, you even had to like turn around halfway and then like pull it backwards. And then we got stuck here, and of course we were down at this end of the arena, and so Monkey was jigging again. We were just waiting for the judge to get ready for us. So then this obstacle is a box, and you, for level 1, just had to, I haven't started yet. I'm going to the start cone. I wasn't sure where I was supposed to be. So after the start cone, you walk forward, and then you can back any 2 sides of the box like an L. So I chose to go around to the second side and then back the L that way. And Monkey was really, really jiggy about this, so, but he did it. I just tried to be soft on his face and keep him backing up. So not too bad considering that he's really not paying attention to me. Our next obstacle was the mounted wagon wheel, and like here he's doesn't really want to walk. It's funny, like he jigs in place, but I don't know where he wants to go. Like there's nowhere to be. If I let him go, he just keeps jigging. I think he just gets overwhelmed, but he's a quiet horse, so like it's weird. He's quiet, but he's jigging. So for the level 1 of this obstacle, we just had to walk around the outside of the cavalettes. They were raised in the middle, but for level 1, you just walked around the outside. And then at the end, we had to stop and side pass 3 steps and then stand. So, and Monkey was like really wanting to just trot, and I needed to keep him at the walk. And he did okay with this. He knocked a pole or two, which is typical for him. It's almost trickier to stay on the edge of the poles than the center because they want to just kind of walk out around them. But he did pretty good, and then just getting him to stop. And he's like really dramatic. He throws his head up, but I was being really, really soft on his face. There's like slack in my reins. And he side passed pretty well. So not too bad. I just wish his attention would have been better, but it was okay. And then here he was just kind of done by this point. And there was someone in front of me that was taking a long time on the next obstacle, and I couldn't do my obstacle without it like kind of posing a dangerous situation. So I just kept him walking around and waited until the judge told me it was time to go. This is similar to the ground gate for level 1. I just had to open the gate, and they had changed it to a rope gate. I just had to basically take the handle off and like throw it on the ground. So you can see there he's like jigging again. He acts like he's a barrel horse or something. I don't get it. But I mean, it's good. This was a really good opportunity to get him out in a situation where he's really just supposed to walk and be calm. So I just kind of let him jig a little bit. It's kind of a pick your battles situation. Just try to be calm and quiet. So this next one I thought he was gonna hate, but he was pretty good at it. And he's never seen this before. This was a carousel that you had to push with either the horse's nose or chest. And Monkey just put his nose over it and pushed it with his chest. He wanted to like fly around there. But for level 1, we were only supposed to do half a turn, so I had to kind of stop him, and he didn't really want to stop. So, and you can tell he's just kind of agitated at this point. And Monkey's the kind of horse where if I try to like interfere with him, like jigging and reacting, he just continues to like kind of overflow. And so it's better for me to just sit calm, and he'll relax a little bit like he did here. But we just really have a lot of work to do on him being away from other horses in an arena by himself and focusing on me, which is hard to do at home. And it's just hard sometimes to get out on the weekends to places like this where it's a calm environment. So this was an L, but for level 1, we just had to walk over the first, or the back side of the L, and then side pass left, and then stand still for 3 seconds. So he side passed okay. He's just really, really distracted. And then we did our standstill for half a second. And then we were waiting for our next obstacle for a little bit. A lot of people really struggled with these curtains. So what we had to do was we had to back from the first cone to the second cone, and then pivot our horse towards the curtain, and then go through the curtains. So, and here he was just a little too excited to back up, so I had to adjust him a little bit. And then I didn't want him to swing his butt into the cone, so I backed him a little bit past it. And he actually gave me a decent pivot, probably because he was going towards his buddies. But then here, like, he just would not go through. A lot of horses had issues with this. A few horses tried to eat it. So, and like, he doesn't react. If I just sit there and kick and kick and kick, he's not going to go through. So I just kept really light leg pressure on him and just kept redirecting his face to see if he would go through. And I was telling him, like, good boy, and you can do it, but he just really wasn't having it. And what the judges will do if they feel like you're not making progress anymore towards finishing whatever the element is, they'll just say thank you or okay, and that's your signal to be done. So we just kept trying it, and he was just not really a fan. And whenever he got close to it and stopped his feet, I would release, but he just wasn't really his thing. So I think about right here, she told me okay. And so I just backed him up and told him good boy. And I really thought that he would want to go through the curtains to get back to his friends, but he didn't care. So anyway, that's the video footage that I have from this event. It was a really, really long day because it just takes so long to get all of those people through the pattern. So we actually ended up hauling Monkey home because it was really, really close. We hauled Monkey home, we got Brandon lunch or dinner, I guess, at that point in the day, and then we went back for awards. So the way that they do awards is they have the in-hand and the riding, And then for each of those, they have the 3 divisions: the novice, the intermediate, and the advanced for level 1, 2, and 3. And they place 1 to 6 in each division. The show that I was at had 49 riders, but I don't know how many were in each division. The biggest divisions, from what I could tell, were novice and advanced, because they placed fewer people in intermediate because the class was smaller. And they also do judges shout outs. So each judge for each obstacle can shout out one rider or handler that they thought either was really persistent or had really good horsemanship or executed it really well. So, and something that's really cool about these shows, I think, is you can still get a decent score even if you don't complete the element, because the judge is looking for, like, did you have good horsemanship? Did your horse make an attempt? Were you supportive of your horse? Things like that. So even if your horse, for example, doesn't go through the curtains, you can still get kind of a decent score just for trying really well to handle your horse. The first thing that they did were the judges shout outs for the in-hand portion. And this is also where each judge kind of spells out exactly what they were looking for, what they thought people did really well, and what people maybe they were like, what the judge was looking for that they didn't see. A lot of judges, like I said, wanted to see a true crossover side pass, but didn't really see it. It was mostly shuffling. Some judges wanted to see straighter lines or more accurate circles or things like that. So it's a cool chance to get feedback from a judge specifically about what they were looking for, and it can kind of give you some things to work on when you go home. During the judges shout-outs, Monkey and I got the judges shout-out for the in-hand curtain. Even though it didn't go super well, the judge thought that we had good teamwork, and she liked that I tried to kind of support him and stay with him, and that I kind of, if you remember in the video, kind of opened the curtain to show him that it was okay, like he could go through and life still existed on the other side, and she really liked that. So they gave out these. It's just a treat bag with some peppermints and an apple in it, so I thought that was really cute. And so there was a shout out for each obstacle by each judge in the in-hand and the riding. So then they placed the in-hand. They also do some newcomer awards, like the High Point newcomers or whatever. So it was really cool to see a lot. I mean, there was a lot of other people that were newcomers, and people are so kind and supportive, and the sportsmanship is really, really good. And I got to talk to quite a few of the people that were there, and so it was fun to see them, win their prizes or whatever. But in the in-hand portion and the novice division, they start placing at 6th, and it's going up and up and up, and you're like, oh, I probably didn't place or whatever. But we pulled a 3rd place in our in-hand trail portion, so I'm really proud of that. I was really happy with how Monkey did, and even though some of the obstacles were kind of rough, I feel like I've come much farther in my horsemanship journey, if you will, and I think the way that I used to handle and train horses, I was very harsh, and now I try to be more gentle and understanding and calm and patient, and I think that really, really made a difference in this situation and in general. And I think Monkey too is more willing to work with me because I've become a gentler partner for him. They then placed the novice riding portion, and I was thinking, okay, we didn't do the curtain. I know we were really rushy and really dancey. There was a lot of people in these divisions. We probably didn't place, but we got a 5th place ribbon. So I was just over the moon, so proud of Monkey, and even though it wasn't perfect and we've never done this before, we were still able to walk in with the tools that we had in our toolbox and do pretty well. We also got this, but I don't know what it is. Kentucky Tox. I guess this is probably Copper Tox. It must have been a donation from KBC, one of the horse shops around here. But yeah, I think this is for treating thrush, but this was with our, I think, 3rd place prize. So they were handing out ribbons, and certain places got extra stuff basically. So all that to say, we had a lot of fun. I think it's a really good experience. There were some horses there that were absolutely losing their marbles because they were in training. This was very new to them. And it didn't feel like a judgmental atmosphere at all. I thought the judges were really understanding and really kind. The other participants at the show were the same way. I was talking to a trainer at the show and I was telling her that I've had problems with Ty because he is so anxious and I want to get him out and I want to go places with him, but he is a little bit nutty and I can work on it at home all day long, but he's pretty good at home, but then I need to take him places to get him better, and that's the only way to do it. The only way you can get them better at going places is to take them places, but I've really kind of given up on that because people have been so mean to me when I take him out places that it makes me not want to do it. And I feel like this is a situation where maybe someday I could, and I think it's a great place for horses in training. And there were people from all disciplines. I saw jumping saddles, western saddles, dressage saddles. I saw a lot of gaited horses. So really just any horse can do this. It is not physically demanding. They can do it all at the walk depending on what level you choose. And even the levels that had some trotting, it was very minimal trotting. Less than once around the arena's worth of trotting. So I think it's good for horses that are maybe not in the best shape, for riders who maybe are not in the best shape. And yeah, so it was a good experience. The only thing that I didn't like was just how slow it is. For a total of probably 20 minutes of arena time between the in-hand and the riding, we were there all day. We got there, the rider briefing was supposed to be at 8:45, and I don't think it started till almost 9:30, and then that just kept pushing the show back, and it just runs so slow. There's not an order of go, which was weird to me. I'm not used to that. And so it's just kind of a free-for-all, whoever steps up and goes, which is fine, but it would be nice to kind of have an on-deck situation so that you're not standing around with your horse, because I think that makes a lot of horses start to go a little stir-crazy when they're just sitting around doing nothing. This was also different. They did have some like outdoor spaces where you could ride, but it was pouring and it was so muddy, and so there wasn't really anywhere to like warm up or anything like that, so you just kind of had to wing it. The facility was nice. I had never been there before. The arena was nice. The barn was great. They had real bathrooms, which I'm a big fan of at horse shows. The road into the like barn was kind of sketchy, but they had people parking or like telling you where to park your trailer, which was nice. It kind of kept things organized. One of my pet peeves is when a horse show says they require a Coggins or a veterinary certificate or something like that, and then they don't check them. Because one, I feel like I wasted my money, not on the Coggins because I get those anyway, but the certificate of veterinary inspection, I've never had to get one of those before except for when I was shipping my horses to a different state. And so I was like, I had the vet come out and pay for a certificate of vet inspection or whatever it's called, and they didn't even check it. I mean, I pulled it out and I was like, are you going to check these? They're like, well, I thought those people checked them, and they didn't. So anyway, that's just minor, and I feel like there are some people who know that a lot of shows don't check for paperwork, and so they don't have it. So I'm just a rule follower and I try to always have those things, but not everybody does. They also did a potluck lunch and did like a door prize for people who brought something for lunch. Of course, I'm allergic to everything in the world, so we didn't bring anything to share because we just bring food that I know is safe for me to eat. All in all, I think it was fun. It's just a very slow day if you're used to like different kinds of horse shows that are more fast-paced, or that you come for your ride time and then you go home, which I've heard from other people. But I'm really, really happy with how it went. I have some things to work on at home now. It was a very welcoming and open environment, which I loved, and I would definitely do it again. I thought it was pretty affordable. I think to show both classes and with my fees, it was like $90, which is more than I would spend at like an open pleasure show or something, but they had nice ribbons. I realized it takes a lot to set up all the obstacles, and the facility was really nice. It wasn't just like a dingy outdoor with bad footing in the middle of nowhere. It was a nice facility. It seemed like it was well run other than being slow. So all in all, I think it was good. I would do it again. I would recommend you do it. I wish that it was I wish there were more of them, more local, but a lot of the closest ones I can find are like 4 to 7 hours away, and I'm not hauling that far to go to a show where I ride for 20 minutes. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. I'm not an expert. I'll try to answer them. I'll do an update video with my scores whenever I get them back. And yeah, by the way, this is a Herd of Zebras shirt. It's one of my favorites. This is the OTTB Vibes shirt. It's probably backwards for you guys, but they just sent me some new stuff, so I'm going to be posting about that on my Instagram probably, and always check them out. You can use Jordan10 for 10% off. They didn't sponsor this video, but I'm just telling you because I love Herd of Zebras, and I wear this sweatshirt all the time. I did wear one of my Herd of Zebras sweatshirts at the show today, but I had a vest and a coat on all day, so you couldn't see it anyway. With that said, make sure that you follow me on Instagram and on TikTok, and we also have a Facebook page now. So check us out in all of those places. We would love to have you along with our adventure, and we'll see you next time.